We're on. Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Denee, for agreeing to do this interview just to bring awareness to sickle cell. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So we're going to go ahead and kick this off. Do you mind telling people what it is you're trying to do about your initiative?
I have an initiative called Cypher for Sickle Cell, and it's a series of creative events, a series of creative video clips around the nation, hopefully to raise awareness of sickle cell, to let people know that this disease does exist, to educate people who may have it, may not have it, but have family members that are affected by it. Ultimately, I want to build a community with people who are focused on changing the face of sickle cell, changing what we're doing. I want to have a tangible and measurable change for people who suffer with the illness.
Okay. So do you mind if I ask you a few questions just to help bring awareness to those who may not know anything about sickle cell or those who don't have the disease?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so I've actually collected a list of questions for people who do not have the disease.
Okay, interesting.
Cool. So you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right, so the first question, is sickle cell contagious?
That is actually a very common question. Sickle cell is not contagious. You cannot get it from intercourse or from a bug or something like that. You have to be born with it. It's passed down from your parents and the child is born with it, but it's definitely not something that you can get from exchanging fluids or anything like that. It's also something that some people back in the day, they didn't even know they had, so they might have found out later on in life, but it's definitely no shape, form, or fashion contagious.
Okay, good. So we got that out the way. Actually, that was another question as well.
Okay.
What
was the other question?
The sexually transmitted. And so you said it's not transmitted through body fluid, so that's cool. So we knocked out two birds with one stone. So thank you so much. Another question about sickle cell. Do black people or are black people the only people who suffer from sickle cell disease?
No. That is a very big misconception that only the African American community is affected by it. No. There are people of color can get it, people from the Mediterranean can get it, so anybody can have it. So that's why it's so important. Now, it is a predominantly in the African American community, definitely it has a big presence in there, but yeah, it's not just black folk.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. I know, I was a little bit curious about that myself, so thank you. Another question for you, if you don't mind. Sickle cell. Now, do you develop this later on in life, or do you always know you have it from the day that you're born?
It depends. Some people are diagnosed at birth, but given, obviously science has gotten better, so people are being diagnosed at birth, but that was not always the case. Definitely, even in the 60s and 70s, up to some cases in the 90s even, some people just don't know. And so you might have an event in your life like a birth or going into the military and finding out that way. A lot of people find out that way because, we didn't do testing like that back then.
Okay, so thank you for that as well. How can people get tested? What's the name of the test that we would have to do just to see if we have the trait or to see if our kids have the sickle cell disease? Do they test for it now or?
I have to check, but I think that it is state law in a lot of states that you have to be tested, that children have to be tested.
Okay.
But now, when I was involved with the sickle cell community back in Detroit, it was just a simple stick in the finger, little prick, and then go ahead. They test it, and most of the time it's free. So you can go to your local sickle cell clinic and or detection agency and get tested for it.
Okay, thanks for that information. I'll definitely be passing that along. Now, with the trait, do you still have, like, if, let's say a person doesn't have the disease. Now, this is debated a lot. Now, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just asking the questions.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So people want to know if I have the sickle cell trait. do I still have the same pain that people have? Do I have the same pain as people with the disease?
I am going to say that pain is subjective, but people with the trait, just medically speaking, people with the trait don't have as many or as intense symptoms as people with the disease, and so I can't speak for people with the trait, but and I don't want to have that division between the two, because obviously we're all searching for that community. But I'll tell you, we most definitely feel the pain with the disease. So,
okay. All right. Anything you want to say regarding sickle cell? As far as the underfunding, I know that here in Florida they just cut funding for sickle cell, and so anything on that? Do you have an opinion on that, or?
I definitely have an opinion. It's not just Florida. When I went to college in Michigan, they cut funding.
Wow.
They cut educational funding. It's sad. It infuriates me. I am livid at the lack of funding and resources available for people with sickle cell around the nation, is what I'm speaking of. Because there are areas where the sickle cell community is strong and they're thriving. However, my concern is, one, the resources available for K through 12. Those students who are constantly in the hospital, where are we bridging the gap? The people who are transitioning from child care to adult care, that's a difficult transition. That's a very uncomfortable transition. People who are having issues with, insurance and co-payments and things like that, that's where I feel like we should be taking, taking those things by our hands and helping people. The government most definitely should take more concern with the plight of the sickle cell community. People have issues with getting medication. You have to almost count the amount of days that you stay in the hospital because you can't afford the $700, $1,000 bill that you're going to get in the mail. So I think that is where we need to concentrate our funds with, is the educational part of it, and being able to bridge that gap for students who struggle with going to school, as far as their lessons, and as well as even applying for college and things like that. So we should have funding available for those students, and we should also have funding available for the medical expenses, because the expenses are great. Even if you have insurance, there's still a lot of great expenses. So how I feel about it, you can tell I'm
very passionate.
I'm very passionate.
And
to be honest with you, I'm passionate about that, because sickle cell can feel very lonely. It can feel like a very lonely road, especially when you don't have the money to get the proper treatment. If you don't have the money to even pay for your vitamins that you're supposed to take every day, that's frustrating. And I just need to know that my government will support that. I need to know that my community will support me. I need to know that if I call someone and I need to go to the hospital, I don't have to worry about walking down the stairs and then using my legs to drive myself. We need to have people that are going to be on standby. If you need a ride to the ER, I'm there. I'm staying with you. That's what I want to see.
So we need a community.
Exactly. We're not waiting for the government. We're not waiting for anyone else. I want to empower a community to come together and take the risk. I don't need to apply for funding, because guess what? My neighbor already knows about my disease. My neighbor already got that ointment for me or something like that. So that's hopefully what we can create.
Okay. So, in other words, you're not looking for pity.
No, not at all.
Not looking for pity.
Not at all. I don't need the, wind behind my wings or whatever. I don't need that playing in the background. Though I do have a puppy here, so, sad puppy face. But besides that, no.
Okay, cool. Another question that I had for you. Now, I'm not going to lie. Before running into people who had sickle cell, I was naive about the disease as well. The only thing I knew about it was that it's a painful disease. Now, if you want to elaborate on that, I would love to have your opinion. As far as, are you in pain every day? Is it painful your whole life? Do you go through pain every second, every minute of the day? What's the pain like?
Wow, that is a loaded question.
Sorry, I just I want to know.
No. These are questions that people ask. These are questions that I've been asked throughout my life. It's just sometimes you're like, I don't know how to really explain it. And to be honest with you, when it comes to the pain, it is really hard to explain. It's really hard to describe because unless you felt that particular type of pain, and it's different types. You have throbbing, you have stabbing pain, the sharp pain. You have different types of pain in your joint, your muscles. So I will say it is incredibly painful, so bad that I cannot explain it. But I will also say that it can happen in any part of the body. It can be your limb, your legs, your arms, your back. It doesn't matter. Okay. You have some spots that you prefer to have pain in opposed to others. Like why my right hand opposed to my left hand? So yeah, it's a very painful disease.
And then also, I know that sickle cell destroys your body with every pain crisis that you do have. And do you want to elaborate on that just a little bit, just to let people know that this is real? And it is killing people on a daily basis. This is something that's overlooked. And I would love to hear your view and let us know what this really is, because we know that it's painful.
Okay. Well, I guess the most important part in understanding the actual life of someone who lives with sickle cell, we don't wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, I have sickle cell disease. What was me?" That's not it. It's a lifestyle. It's what we endure every day. It's what we face every day. Now, I can't speak for the entire community in their pain. What I can say is sometimes you do have pain every day. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can go a month or a year even without having to be hospitalized for the pain. It can be some stuff that it's just manageable pain. And in that case, after a certain point, you kind of get used to it. So you're like, this is regular old pain. I'll be all right. But other than that, sickle cell isn't just physical pain. There's an emotional aspect to it. There's an educational struggle to it. There's a spiritual struggle with it. And ultimately, I would say, emotionally speaking, which is one thing that we don't talk about, is the depression part of it, how it feels when you don't have that support system, how you can feel isolated and you can feel trapped in another type of cell. And it's the cell in your mind, the cell in your emotions, because it is hard to get people to understand because they don't feel that pain.
You can't see it.
It's
not like cancer. No. You don't lose your hair. It's not so immediate. And
sickle cell, it looks like every day. It looks like us. So and we find a way to survive. You find a way to get up in the morning, even though it's cold and it's winter, and you take that shower and you hope those joints, can get some sort of relief so that you can go to work. All of us don't qualify for disability. So it's definitely difficult for all of our students. You're not alone. I had to go through school too, and it took me 5 years, but I graduated with honors. And but it's a difficult journey, especially like when you're absent so much and when you need that flexible schedule. But yeah, it's definitely a difficult thing to deal with because it's not just a pain side of it. It's an emotional side to it as well as a spiritual side. Like, depending on what your religious beliefs are, you struggle with that sometimes. Like, do I have to deal with this again? Or how many people am I going to lose to illnesses that are brought on from sickle cell? I lost my sister at 26, and it's an illness that I wish people could understand so that they can. You may not be able to feel my pain, but at least share in my pain.
Well, Denee, I do thank you so very much for being, candid about your illness. Your disease. I do appreciate it. Now go ahead and tell the people where they can reach you at and how they can get involved in this movement. I know you said it at the beginning, but for those who missed it, go ahead and repeat your hashtag, Cypher for sickle cell. Let them know that they can reach you there and some other places.
Okay. Well, I have, real quick, my hashtag, where I'm asking that everyone, start doing it now, but our official date will be February 17th, and I'm asking for you to grab a friend and do a poetry cipher, a hip-hop cipher, a singing cipher, whatever you need to do, however you express artistically. It can be to raise awareness, it can be to encourage people, it can be to tell the story of someone, a loved one. The hashtag is Cypher for Sickle Cell. That's CYPHER, the number 4, and then SICKLECELL. Hashtag Mellow Soul Tuesdays. We're trying to get people to do this everywhere, no matter where you are. We are having a corner cipher here in Gainesville at Rocky's Dueling Piano Bar. If you want to come here, come here. But if you're not in the state, do your own cipher, record it, post it on the video. This can be as big as the ice challenge. But basically what I wanted to do is I want people to be able to, who have the disease, to participate in it. And so if you have sickle cell, rap about it. Get your folks to make a cipher, especially if you think you got
Or if you're a poet.
If you're a poet, if you're a singer, I don't care. Hey, I'm a poet. I'm not a rapper or anything like that. So I will do my poetry cipher. But I guarantee you I will represent, and I will represent with style, because it's a never-ending cycle where somebody drops that initiative, we pick it right on up. And we're going to do something for the sickle cell community. You guys will be impressed, I promise.
Well, thank you so much, Denee. It was a pleasure having you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for your questions. I was in the hot seat.
All right. Well, you want to sign off?
Detroit, Michigan, I'm looking for y'all support. Gainesville, I'm looking for y'all support. North Central Florida, everyone. Mellow Soul Tuesdays, Cypher for Sickle Cell. Denee out.